Welcome into a special edition of Pitchfork Football pregame show. Alongside Simon Williams, I'm Serena Raboyne. The theme for today is in college football is cancellations. The Pac-12 is the latest conference to be affected by COVID-19. Arizona State was looking to bounce back from their loss at USC last week when the news of an outbreak hit. Multiple players and coaches tested positive, leading to a canceled practice on Thursday and the Saturday night game against Cal to be canceled. ASU was under the 53 scholarship player minimum to be eligible for competition.
And then later on Friday, Utah, who was set to host UCLA, announced an outbreak of their own. And just a few short hours later, the Pac-12 announced that this weekend, Cal and UCLA would play on Sunday. And next week's UCLA-Oregon game at Autzen Stadium would be moved from Friday to Saturday. The running total is 63 games since the start of the Division I season that have been canceled, 15 of which came this week alone. Each of the first 2 weeks of the Pac-12 season has had cancellations. For ASU, the only individual case that was made public was head coach Herm Edwards. As part of a joint press release with athletic director Ray Anderson, Edwards has this to say. First, I want to say that Leah, the girls, and I are fine and will be back quicker than you can say forks up. Second, even with the marvelous care of our medical professionals that they provided for myself, my staff, and my team over the past few months, the virus still found me. So I encourage all of you to take this virus seriously, to wear a mask, practice physical distancing, and get tested whenever possible. And with that, we're going to take a quick break here on Pitchfork Football Pregame, a special edition of Pitchfork Football Pregame. When we come back, we're going to look around the league and break down ASU football from last week.
Coming up next, Simon and Sarandon take a look at scores and highlights from across the nation today, including Indiana versus Michigan State and USC versus Arizona. Catch that and more on this week's episode of Pitchfork Football.
I'm Ted Simons, host and managing editor of Arizona Horizon. In-depth local news coverage has been a part of Arizona PBS since its inception and has never been more vital to our state. So join us weekdays for an hour of local news, starting with Arizona Horizon in its new time at 5 o'clock, followed by Cronkite News at 5:30. We finish the hour with Break It Down, where we'll take a closer look at the topics we're all talking about. Arizona Horizon, Cronkite News, and Break It Down, starting at 5, only on Arizona PBS.
I've always wondered what was out there. Since I was little, I thought about discovering life on other planets, but that seemed so impossible. I didn't think that could be me. When I got to ASU, I met Professor Lindy. She's one of the first women to ever lead a NASA deep space mission. I got to actually meet somebody that was doing the type of work that I thought was inspiring to me. It was pretty cool. Without ASU, I don't even know if I would have applied for the internships at NASA. But then, Lindy told me to go for it. So I did, and I got in. I actually get to work on a rover that's going to Mars. I have to pinch myself when I think about the things that I get to do right now. ASU really did help me to go after my dreams.
The Pac-12 Conference and its member universities are excited to be back playing the sports we all love.
But in order to get back to competition, the Pac-12 universities and student athletes are taking many steps and following important guidelines.
So now it's our turn to do the same. Please follow your state and local health official guidelines as you enjoy Pac-12 competition wherever you are.
That includes wearing a mask, maintaining physical distance, avoiding close contact with those not living in your household, and washing your hands often with soap and water. Thanks, fans, for doing your part to cheer responsibly.
And we're back on Pitchfork Football. Simon Williams with you here alongside Sarandon Raboyne. Now, we started the show by talking about games that didn't happen, and there's plenty more to break down with that for sure. But let's get into the action that did go down. Let's start in East Lansing, Michigan, where the number 10 Indiana Hoosiers took on the Michigan State Spartans. 1:22 left in the first quarter. A little swing pass action for Michael Penix Jr. to Ty Freifogel, who dives for the end zone for a 16-yard touchdown. Penix was spectacular, finishing with 320 passing yards on the day. He has been superb in the season return after last year's season-ending injury. All right, what about some Michigan State action? 11:53 left in the second quarter. Rocky Lombardi fires one, a little bit underthrown, and it's tipped off, intended for Taiwan Mullen Actually, that's who picks it up. The second interception of the day for the Hoosiers defensively. Third down. This time, second quarter, 5:06 left. Penix Jr. finds Frogel again, who waltzed on into the end zone. His second touchdown. 11 catches, 200 yards, and 2 scores for the tight end. The number 10 Hoosiers will head to the Horseshoe next weekend and face number 3 Ohio State in a highly anticipated Big Ten East matchup.
Let's take a look at the Pac-12. USC versus U of A. We have got some fourth quarter drama for you. Keaton Slovis hits Amon-Ra St. Brown for a 20-yard completion. USC is down 3 points in the final minute. Keaton Slovis drops back, fires, finds St. Brown again with the completion for the first down for 14 yards. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown really did pull it out on this last drive. Keaton Slovis steps up, throws it. Is it intercepted? No, caught. Amon-Ra St. Brown again. Christian Roland Wallace almost had the pick for University of Arizona, but couldn't quite come up with it. I mean, let's take a look right here. Just hits the hands. Can't bring it down. That's game over if U of A has that. All right, USC last. Can they score? Carried by Vave Malapea for an 8-yard touchdown. I mean, this just echoes what USC did with ASU last week. Fourth quarter drama all around. Simon, what do you think?
Vavai Malapei showed up in the second half last week against ASU, and just like we saw right here in the second half against U of A. Big-time yards for a power back who can really cause some damage to defensive lines.
Yeah, University of Arizona could not hold on to that lead, just like ASU couldn't do it last week. Something about USC says that I'm coming in the fourth quarter. You stay ready.
Yeah, and they're a top 25 team and one of 2 teams out of the Pac-12 to really have a shot to the college football playoff. Talking playoffs now, let's bring in our football analyst, Alex Coyle. Alex, there are plenty of games that we've talked about that got canceled, 12 of which were within the top 25. USC was lucky enough to be able to play this week. Are they the Pac-12's best shot at the college football playoff, considering they've got 2 wins in their 2 games?
Well, yeah, USC, the Pac-12 South, definitely has the best chance to represent the Pac-12 as a whole. Obviously, in the North, you have to look at Oregon. It's going to have both of them run the table, meet each other in the Pac-12 championship game. Winner goes to the CFP, assuming everything plays out like it is. But the Pac-12 is going to have to avoid cannibalizing itself, that's for sure.
Among the teams that got games canceled, Alabama and Ohio State, numbers 1 and 3 respectively, each of their games this weekend. They felt like shoo-ins for the college football playoff if everything worked out in their favor. But what does it say about the state of the sport that no one is really safe and all playoff implications are dampened by cancellations?
Well, I'm just going to point you back to what Herm Edwards said in the statement that you guys showed, that no matter if you follow everything and you have the greatest doctors in the world, sometimes a virus is going to find you, and that's just going to happen. All you can do is follow all the protocols that you have in place and win every game that's in front of you, and then you'll find yourself in the CFP if you're those 2 teams.
All right, final question before we let you go. America's team, the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, they are 15th in the country, riding high on a 4-game win streak. Only 4 years into their tenure as a Division I FBS squad, they looked like they could have been the mid-major Cinderella of the college football season this year. What do you think about the Chanticleers down there in Coastal Carolina having their game canceled? What does that look like for them in the Sun Belt Conference heading forward? Yeah,
having the game canceled today was kind of big. Not really necessarily a CFP contender, but getting themselves in position for a New Year's 6 bowl game, the old BCS bowl games, a big bowl game for them, especially in their young careers as FBS coming up from the FCS ranks. Again, the Chanticleers down in the Myrtle Beach area of South Carolina, again, win every game ahead of you, and you might find yourself in the New Year's 6.
Thanks, Alex. We really appreciate you breaking down the cancellations from today. We'll talk to you a little bit later about ASU versus USC in that game last week as we break down what happened. That's all we have for you for right now. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Coming up after the break, Simon and Sarandon recap ASU's highlights and action from last week and break down what's next for the Sun Devils this season. All that and more on this week's episode of Pitchfork Football.
I'm Ted Simons, host and managing editor of Arizona Horizon. In-depth local news coverage has been a part of Arizona PBS since its inception and has never been more vital to our state. So join us weekdays for an hour of local news, starting with Arizona Horizon in its new time at 5 o'clock, followed by Cronkite News at 5:30. We finish the hour with Break It Down, where we'll take a closer look at the topics we're all talking about. Arizona Horizon, Cronkite News, and Break It Down, starting at 5, only on Arizona PBS.
I've always wondered what was out there. Since I was little, I thought about discovering life on other planets, but that seemed so impossible. I didn't think that could be me. When I got to ASU, I met Professor Lindy. She's one of the first women to ever lead a NASA deep space mission. I got to actually meet somebody that was doing the type of work that I thought was inspiring to me. It was pretty cool. Without ASU, I don't even know if I would have applied for the internships at NASA. But then, Lindy told me to go for it. So I did, and I got in. I actually get to work on a rover that's going to Mars. I have to pinch myself when I think about the things that I get to do right now. ASU really did help me to go after my dreams.
The Pac-12 Conference and its member universities are excited to be back playing the sports we all love.
But in order to get back to competition, the Pac-12 universities and student athletes are taking many steps and following important guidelines.
So now it's our turn to do the same. Please follow your state and local health official guidelines as you enjoy Pac-12 competition wherever you are.
That includes wearing a mask, maintaining physical distance, avoiding close contact with those not living in your household, and washing your hands often with soap and water.
Thanks, fans, for doing your part to cheer responsibly.
Point alongside Simon Williams. I mean, since we don't have an ASU game to break down today, let's break down last week's.
Yeah, that's right. So let's go to SoCal as ASU played USC at the Coliseum. And we start things off. Arizona State had a 3-point lead off a field goal. Let's go to 10:15 in the first quarter. Things looked good until they didn't. Jack Jones, cornerback, back deep to return a kick, and he fumbles it, leading to an SC score right up the gut. Stephen Carr, 2-yard touchdown. It capped off an 11-play, 70-yard drive. All right, Arizona State responding with some offense of their own. Look at Jamonte Traynham. He skirts on into the end zone. 25-yard touchdown for Jamonte Traynham, one of 3 running backs who had not had any varsity snaps who made an impact against USC. Now, how about Rashad White? He's another one of those 3 running backs for ASU. 55-yard touchdown, one of 3 catches on the day for him. He was the team's leading receiver with 70 yards. You see him here in the flat. Little hesitation move, got some nice blocks up front, and sprints all the way down for the score. 55 yards, as I mentioned, team's leading scorer at the running back position. We see Daniels here, hand it off again. Scampering for the first down and some. Reaching out and getting the touchdown. Jamonte Traynham, another score. He certainly had the ball over the line. There was some questions whether or not it was a full-on score or not. Now, USC with a little bit of trickery. Onside kick recovered by the Trojans. A tough effort by the Sun Devils trying to field the onside kick while they were moving, not feet planted. That will certainly make that more difficult. SC recovers the onside kick, and it's all downhill from there for the Sun Devils. Despite having the lead, Keaton Slovis with a little bit of revenge on his hometown team. That's right, the Desert Ridge alum finds Drake London for the score. He was electric, London, with some receptions on the day. It was all down to this for Arizona State. 55 seconds left in the shotgun. Steps back, fires to LV Bunkley Shelton for the first down. No good. It hits the ground. And that will do it for the Sun Devils as SC just knelt away the rest of the game.
I mean, SC, I don't know what they're doing, but they are doing the fourth quarter right. If they come away with 2 wins in the last 2 weeks, in the last 10 minutes of the game.
Absolutely.
It's just insane.
SC certainly capitalized in the fourth quarter. And Alex Coyle knows a little bit about that contest last week against USC. Alex, what did you like out of ASU. What went right, what could have gone better, and what was just downright awful?
Yeah, in terms of what went right, you got to go straight to that defensive line, especially with Michael Matus and Jermaine Lole there, combining for 3 sacks as a whole unit. Jermaine Lole having 1.5 of those. But the key really with them was how they stopped the run. They didn't necessarily get a lot of tackles for loss, but sliding over, filling gaps, and allowing those linebackers and even the secondary to come in and force a couple fumbles as well was huge.
Yeah, that's right, Alex. Only 2 guys with double-digit tackles for the Sun Devils. Now let's go to what went okay and what could have gotten a little bit better.
Yeah, in terms of what went okay, you got to look straight to the defensive secondary. I know I'm harping on the defensive side of the ball, but that's where you got to focus, especially the secondary. Anytime you give up 40 completions for 385-plus yards, you're going to look at that area. Jack Jones, kind of a little bit of a depth issue with the cramping kind of caused a little bit there, especially on the last 2 drives when Keaton Slovis really picked the defense apart.
All right, Alex, what is the last thing that ASU wants to hear? What went wrong for them against USC?
Well, what went wrong, you have to go straight to the passing game, the complete opposite of what USC saw success in, especially on those last 2 drives. Jaden Daniels completed less than 50% of his passes. The wide receivers, Johnny Wilson, a ton of drops, 0 for 4 on his 4 targets, and did draw a pass interference, but still no catches for him, the freshman. LV Bunkley Shelton, only a few receptions for 28 yards, a big fumble, and especially the leading receiver coming as a running back, got a big chunk of those in terms of Rashad White out of the backfield on a touchdown from a screen. Jaden Daniels also has to be better, especially early, hitting throws, looked a little bit, wild high early on in the game, and then missed that last throw short.
Thanks, Alex. We appreciate you breaking it down and coming on this edition of Pitchfork Football.
Just after the break, we're going to head to social media with Jude Brinkley. He's going to be showing us what's going on in Sun Devil Nation online. But before we do that, we're going to send it to a quick break. You're watching Pitchfork Football.
State. So join us weekdays for an hour of local news, starting with Arizona Horizon in its new time at 5 o'clock, followed by Cronkite News at 5:30. We finish the hour with Break It Down, where we'll take a closer look at the topics we're all talking about. Arizona Horizon, Cronkite News, and Break It Down, starting at 5, only on Arizona PBS.
I've always wondered what was out there. Since I was little, I thought about discovering life on other planets, but that seemed so impossible. I didn't think that could be me. When I got to ASU, I met Professor Lindy. She's one of the first women to ever lead a NASA deep space mission. I got to actually meet somebody that was doing the type of work that I thought was inspiring to me. It was pretty cool. Without ASU, I don't even know if I would have applied for the internships at NASA. But then, Lindy told me to go for it. So I did, and I got in. I actually get to work on a rover that's going to Mars. I have to pinch myself when I think about the things that I get to do right now. ASU really did help me to go after my dreams.
The Pac-12 Conference and its member universities are excited to be back playing the sports we all love.
But in order to get back to competition, the Pac-12 universities and student athletes are taking many steps and following important guidelines.
So now it's our turn to do the same. Please follow your state and local health official guidelines as you enjoy Pac-12 competition wherever you are.
That includes wearing a mask, maintaining physical distance, avoiding close contact with those not living in your household, and washing your hands often with soap and water.
Thanks, fans, for doing your part to cheer responsibly.
Welcome back into Pitchfork Football. Simon Williams with you here alongside Sarandon Raboyne. We've talked about ASU all this week about them not playing, but we can look forward to something happening in the coming weeks, right?
I mean, hopefully, that's the goal. I mean, we went into this week thinking that Cal was going to be the one that was not going to have this game happen, right? Because it was the city of Berkeley and their COVID guidelines that weren't going to allow the players who tested positive to play. But now that we have ASU as the positive cases with this game specifically, we don't know if they're going to play next week. It depends on who it was, how many, and if they're going to make that 53-man scholarship requirement. And
to that end as well, they might play next week. It might not be against the team that they were originally supposed to play.
You're right.
With USC getting on Arizona this week, UCLA having their game moved to now Cal on Sunday,
Right.
and then moving their game at Oregon next week to Saturday. Nothing is set in stone with this schedule.
Definitely the Pac-12 is using the best to its advantage and moving games around as much as they can to make up for these canceled games that they've had for the last 2 weeks.
All right, and with that, we're going to toss on over to Jude Binkley. Social media, what's going on with Sun Devil Nation online?
Looking to social media over this extended offseason and while watching other teams play, Jaden Daniels had been on Twitter talking about how he was ready to return to the field and start making plays for the Sun Devils. Now, it has to be disheartening for him and the rest of the team to miss out on today's opportunity. And yesterday, he took to Instagram to post a photo with the caption, "Down but not out." Now, I think this is great for his mentality and giving insight on to show that he's ready and prepared to return to the field whenever possible and start competing for ASU. Now, Cal's reaction to this change in scheduling was very interesting as they tweeted out, "Football on Sunday sounds good for us," with a video of the Rose Bowl with the NFL on Fox theme. Now, their game against UCLA tomorrow should be very interesting as both teams only had 2 days to prepare for their opponents as well as for the conference as a whole, where last week we had Pac-12 before brunch. I guess you could call tomorrow Pac-12 after church. But I'm always down for more football as long as it's done safely. And finally, in the Pac-12, the Stanford Cardinal couldn't have fans in attendance, so they decided to put 400 trees around the arena. Now, the home forest advantage didn't help them out against Colorado, who they lost to, and Colorado is also the team that the Sun Devils are slated to play next week. That's going to be it from this socially distanced social media zone.
Thanks, Jude. We really appreciate you keeping track of what's going on social. I mean, like a forest around the stadium? That sounds insane.
I appreciate the creativity. Why not? If you can't get fans in there, why not get your namesake, the Cardinal? Why not show it off a little bit?
Hey, nothing's better than the Stanford trees.
Yeah, definitely unique out among all the mascots.
For sure. It's the most fun. All right. So I know that we are trying to talk about ASU football on this show, but guess what? Basketball's coming up. So ASU basketball, we are going to bring a new show for you guys, Pitchfork Basketball. And we're going to highlight all the things that ASU has in store, which includes Remy Martin. He's coming back.
That's right. AP preseason All-American Remy Martin, one of 2 Sun Devils ever to earn that honor. That's great for a guy who was testing the NBA draft waters, comes back and shows why he's got that cred to bring to the game, and he joins a loaded roster, really, bringing in the most highly touted recruiting class in Arizona State history, Marcus Bagley, Josh Christopher, and transfers Holland Woods and Chris Ostin and Luther Muhammad, who's not eligible this season. He will be eligible next season. It's a loaded roster, top to bottom, that shows that the ASU Sun Devils are in it to win it. They got 9 first-place votes in the preseason Pac-12 poll. They're going to be finished second in that poll for the preseason rankings, but they look good. They're excited. I know I'm excited, and I know you are too.
It's a team to watch for sure, and we're going to break it down for you guys when we come to the basketball season on Pitchfork Basketball. So stay tuned for that show. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. But before we get to that, we got to say thank you and good night. So thanks so much for tuning in to Pitchfork Football. It's been a blast. So for Sarandon Raboyne, Simon Williams saying thanks. Good night.